What's up, bitches?
Let's talk about crime.
What's up, bitches?
Hello, I'm back. I know you all missed my voice.
And she doesn't sound like this.
No, I still have like a little bit of like a
Little
stuffy
bit,
nose,
little
but it's about
much better than the day she called me because that was
Yeah.
some hot mess
Yeah.
express. It was a little weird. She had something that I think we have had too, because I lost my voice at one point, but it's only for like 2 days, and then it's like, and you don't lose it. You just become like
You
manly.
think you're gonna lose it.
Yeah, and your voice is like cutting in
For
and
those
out.
of you that have seen One Tree Hill, I
Yeah.
sound like Brooke
Yeah.
when I get sick like that.
Yeah.
Which, don't get me wrong, I love her voice. I love the raspiness.
I was gonna say
so
that's like
I
that
don't
sexy
care.
raspy voice, but it just was
It doesn't bother
little,
me, but
But it's a
not
little
good for the podcast.
No, not good for the podcast.
And if I talk too much, not now, but like last week or whatever, if I talked too much, then I'd start coughing too.
Yeah, she was just sick.
Still went to work.
She
Doped up on medicine.
She did. She's always been like that, though. I remember her playing.
That's how we
playing.
were brought up.
Yeah, because there was a
I was so high on drugs.
the
for a
basketball
game.
Oh my god, it was
My
it was
God.
like the championship game
In middle school.
and
the way.
it was middle school. And
It's
by
not
the
like
way,
this crazy
Sierra
thing.
was not a basketball player, but
Oh,
she
hell
was
no. I was
one.
scrappy.
She was one of the top 5 basketball players on this team,
Yeah.
though. Like her middle school team.
I was a starter.
She was a starter. And so and the thing with her was she's not tall, but
Nah, I'm 5'4", people.
her role in it, she was more of a scrappy basketball player. And so that's what they wanted her for. And so she was sick. Like she had a really bad cold. And I was like,
Probably one of the worst ones I've ever had
oh
to
yeah.
play through.
And I said, okay, well, you need to keep going. We literally doped her up on Dayquil. She played. And then when it
Dayquil,
was
cough drops,
all kinds of
fucking-
things. And then when she was done with that, she literally got into a limo with her softball team and did some softball thing. And I'm just
Yeah.
like, I look back now and I'm like, damn, we were ruthless.
Dude, now I'm like a little wimp. Now if like I have like a really bad cough, I'm like calling my boss. I'm like, I'm not coming into work.
I'm not coming.
I'm
in.
like, I'm taking but I will say there was one day where I actually took a day just to relax, get better. This was like a couple of years ago from work. And I literally came back the next day and was totally fine.
Yeah.
Like it was
sometimes
just
you
like that
need that
one day.
Yep.
And then it made me think about all the times that I doped up on Dayquil. And I'm like, man, if I
I
would have
would've
just
just
taken
slept,
one
yeah.
fucking day, mom,
I know.
I would have been fine.
I was one of those. I still am one of those parents that if my child's not dead, they're doing shit. Although I know like COVID kind of changed that a little bit
Right.
because I know that it can be pretty dangerous to send your kids to stuff. But in my mind, if you can do things, a lot of the things you can do now, you can do online. There's really no excuse to not follow through on the shit you need to follow through on. That's just me.
Yeah.
I mean, look at me. I'm here today talking to y'all.
Hungover.
And I'm hungover and I feel like absolute trash. But
Sierra's
here I
not
be.
hungover.
Here I be.
Sierra had
Here
one
I-
drink.
I only had 2.
Okay, but
But one was a double,
2.
but still, I was like,
The bar
what
that
the
we go
fuck
to-
happened to me?
The bar that we go to, everybody loves them because it's just like it's a dive bar. It's an Irish pub,
Yeah.
but it's a dive bar. They pour really fucking heavy. For
Heavy.
cheap. And
Yeah.
so like you only need a couple doubles to get
Yeah.
on your fucking ass
And
and,
I
you're
just-
not even paying $50. Like
Yeah, it was
It's
It was,
crazy.
it's good in the moment, but I am goddamn in my 40s and I cannot be rocking like that anymore. So
fucking old ass.
here I am. Anyways, do you want to get started on this episode?
Yeah. I mean, I don't really think there's a whole hell of a lot else.
Okay. Well, we are talking about Stephen Grant. Now, what we're talking about, this happened in February of 2007. Tara Grant is reported missing, and she's reported missing by her husband, Stephen Grant, on Valentine's Day. And this happens in Mount Clemens, Michigan. So we're going to get into a little background first, as we always do. Not a ton, but a little bit. So Tara Grant, we're going to talk about her first. Tara was actually born in Michigan, June 28th, 1972, and she has one sister and her parents. And they attended public school. Life was normal. Tara actually goes to school at Michigan State University. She earns a bachelor's degree in business. And she ends up getting a job with a Detroit, Michigan office for the Washington Group International. Now, this job did require that she frequently traveled, which she absolutely accepts the job and does because why the fuck not? If
especially if you're a single person.
I'm saying, like, why the fuck not, right? So
I'll be honest, if I didn't have Olive,
yeah,
a career path that I had thought about, especially now, like being single and things like that, would be like
I don't
flight
know.
attendant.
Oh yeah, yeah,
like
yeah.
you know, things like that. Because I mean, don't get me wrong, I know you can be flight attendants and pilots like with, you know, spouses and things like that, but it's just so much easier to do it if you're single. And so, like, granted, I love the career that I have a career path. However, that was always something that I had thought about. Being single is like, you basically get to go fucking travel around the world. Like, how cool would that be?
Yeah. So she takes the job because it's a fabulous opportunity. Now, eventually she does end up marrying Stephen Grant. Now, when I read into it, it looks like they actually met in college. They kind of knew each other for a while. And by the year 2007, they were married and they had 2 young children, 7-year-old girl and a 3-year-old boy. Okay, so this is what their life was like. Now, Stephen Grant, nothing I could find on what his younger life was like. I don't know if he was raised in a good or bad place. I don't know what his mental health was like. I don't know if he was whatever. And I say the mental health thing because his mugshot, you kind of like he's got a very distinct mugshot. I'm just going to say that. So Stephen, the most I can find out about is once he was already married and had kids. So that's where we're going to start with his background. So basically, Stephen focuses on raising the kids. He's a soccer coach. He works at his father's tool and die shop every once in a while. But for the most part, he literally is like a stay-at-home dad kind of. He has a little bit of things he does, but he's the dad. And then Tara is the breadwinner. She makes all the money. Well, he also was described by people as a little bit awkward. Okay, so there's like some, as there always is. Now, there were some rumors, though, that while he was the main one to care for the family, so that Tara could continue on her career, apparently he wanted a career in politics, but he didn't ever get into that because of Tara's career. And that was something that they actually would argue about sometimes in their marriage.
So one of those
one person gives up a dream for the other person's dream. Right. Now,
and it's typically for the breadwinner.
Yes.
It's how it typically is.
Yes.
In households.
Now, there's not that much information about Stephen Grant himself. Mm-hmm. And so I tried. The problem is his name, Stephen Grant, is a very popular, like, common name.
I'll say when I looked up Stephen Grant, I had to
I can't
research.
Yeah,
it.
like I can't trust the things that are coming up in my searches because, like, is that the right Stephen Grant? I don't fucking know. And so I'm just going to leave it at that. And then the final little bit about Tara and Stephen, though, is that even though he was like a stay-at-home dad and he was really raising the kids, they did also have a nanny from Germany that helped with the kids as well, because he would go and do stuff with his dad's tool and die shop. So it's not like he was like a stay-at-home dad who didn't have a break like a normal stay-at-home parent. So he had somebody who would take care of the kids when he couldn't, right? So they're just like a healthy relationship, I guess. I don't know. On February 14th of 2007, which was Valentine's Day, Stephen actually makes a phone call to the police and he reports that his wife is missing. Now, he informs the police that she had been missing for 5 days.
It took you 5 days to report your wife missing. I don't give a shit if she travels or not.
Well,
then maybe my mom's fucking crazy. But when my dad travels, there was one fucking day, people. It wasn't even the full day. It was the morning.
I'm crazy.
And was this when I still lived in South Dakota? I think I'm pretty sure it was.
Ma'am,
no,
this has happened twice actually. Because once was when you lived
once
here.
was when I lived here, but I distinctly remember the one in South Dakota because, you know, South Dakota, I'm 2 hours ahead of Washington. And she had called me. Sierra, I can't get hold of your dad.
It was at night. It was at night. That one when I called you in South Dakota, it was at like 11 o'clock at night.
Can't get a hold of my dad. First of all, my brain's going, I'm in fucking South Dakota. What the fuck am I supposed to do? Just hop on a plane to LA? Like, no. So basically, long story short, she ends up getting a hold of my dad, obviously. But there was another time where it was in the morning. He hadn't woken up to his alarms. Wasn't waking up to my mom's phone call. So she comes downstairs, wakes me out of my sleep.
Because I have anxiety of using the telephone, people. It's not because I'm scared to use the phone.
I had to call the hotel to say, hi, can you go to room, whatever the fuck room he was in, and have security go and fucking check on him.
Do a wellness check. And guess what?
He was fine.
He was fine. But
my point in that is,
you're right.
Your fucking wife, I don't care if he travels or not. 5 days and you don't fucking report her missing. Like day one, I would have reported them missing.
So his explanation,
or 2 at least.
He does explain why he waited 5 days. So his explanation for not reporting her sooner was that this was not the first time that she had left for a couple of days. And so he assumed she was just leaving because they had had an argument. Okay, so this is his explanation. She had just gotten home from a trip from Puerto Rico. She was in a business trip. She literally got home that night, tells him, I have another meeting I have to attend tomorrow, meaning I was supposed to be home, whatever. I don't know if that meant she had to turn around and get on a plane somewhere, or if she just had to go somewhere. But she said, I'm basically not going to be here tomorrow. And they got into an argument about it. Mm-hmm. And he said that during their argument, because it was getting so like heated, she was like, I'm just going to go. And so he's telling them like, this has happened often before. She'll get mad. She leaves. She's gone for like 2 or 3 days. Whatever. But now it's been 5 days. I haven't heard anything from her. I'm a little concerned.
Okay,
now.
But still 2 or 3 days. Day 4, you didn't fucking say anything. I'm just saying. Like,
he also claims that he did hear her on the phone with someone and told that person, like, I will meet you at the end of the driveway. And so he said, when I saw her walk out the door, she literally was standing at the end of a driveway. This dark vehicle came, she got in, and she took off. I haven't heard from her. I don't know where she went. Now, it's
like kind of believable, but not all at the same time.
Depending on people's relationships, right? Yeah. Now, for the following 2 weeks, Stephen literally goes onto news broadcasts multiple times asking for the public's help finding her.
This kind of sounds familiar.
Like Chris. Goes on. You're right there, ma'am. You're right there.
Fucking piece of shit.
Goes on asking for help finding her. If she sees it, to contact him, come home. Then he comes out and accuses the police of harassing him because apparently the day after he reported Tara missing, he was actually pulled over and arrested by the police for driving on a suspended license because he had a suspended license.
Well, no shit, you're going to get arrested.
But his claim was that they did that because they wanted to try to question him about Tara's disappearance. To which I say, why
Fine.
No, not even that. Why the fuck weren't you willing to voluntarily help them in the first place? Even if they did have to pull you over, why weren't you immediately helping the police? Now, the police obviously deny the accusation and they say, we literally spent every single day holding press conferences for this man. The police also stated that Stephen was not cooperative with them in the early parts of the investigation. Like, for instance, after he calls and reports her missing, they're like, okay, let's have a conversation about this. We have some questions for you. No. Or maybe like calling him and saying, let's ask you some questions about this. Nope. Can we come search your house? Nope. Okay. So he wasn't willing to help, but
you're just making yourself look more guilty. I mean, you are obviously, because that's who we're fucking talking about, but you're just going to make yourself look more and more guilty.
Right.
Like,
right. But he was willing to do all of these, all these news conferences, but he wasn't willing to help the police. And the police would sit there and be like, are you fucking, like, really? You're going to go
publicity stunt.
Right. So eventually, he does agree to taking a polygraph test. Now, he said, I will take it as long as it's administered by someone other than the police because I don't trust them because they're harassing me and they think I did this and yada yada. So the police also said that he would come in and talk to them. Like, he would come in, ask them about what they have found or whatever, and then he would refuse to help them, and then he would go in front of the media and he would literally be like, please help me find her. And then he would turn around and then he started to try to insert himself in the investigation. So it's different when
Which are what criminals do.
Well, and there's a difference between inserting yourself in the investigation and helping the police. When you're helping the police, you're just answering their questions. But when you insert yourself in the investigation, you're trying to find out what they know.
A lot of criminals,
what they've done. There's
a lot of criminals out there. Not every, but like that is a common thing between criminals is they insert themselves into that investigation. So that is not surprising that he did that.
Nope. Now, police, as they continue to go through all these steps and investigations, they find out that he also has had multiple affairs with multiple women, including the nanny. Now, on March 2nd, 2007, the police actually serve a search warrant on Stephen's home. Now, the reason...
I'm actually shocked they didn't do it before that, if I'm being honest.
You have to have reasons, right? And again, if he's not cooperating...
it's only a month after, but...
Right. So the reason it took this long, though, was because they needed to come up with something that a judge would sign off of for, okay, maybe this guy did something. Because at this point, he has just been unwilling to cooperate. Well, unwilling to cooperate is not a reason for a warrant.
Listen, the intelligence unit would have had it the same day. Just saying.
They would have been some rules to get that shit done.
Chicago PD, for those of you who don't know.
For real. Now, okay, so the police served this search warrant on Stephen's home. The reason they were able to get it is because there was a mixture of things. He had done the polygraph and it came back inconclusive, which, by the way, a polygraph, for everybody who doesn't know, is not admissible in court. It's
Polygraphs are 50-50, man.
They're very, very.
I'd be so nervous that it would probably be like, you're lying about everything. And I'd be like, no, I'm not.
So they're not admissible in court. But what they do is they can give suspicious and create some doubt. And, sometimes those kind of things can help push for a warrant. Like, well, so he, again.
Or it might even make the actual criminal be like so fucking stressed out about it that they're like, oh, fuck, I did it. I did it. It's me.
So his polygraph was inconclusive. And a woman had actually found a bag in a local park near his house that had gloves, metal shavings, and blood in the park. And when they saw that, I don't know what made them connect, maybe the gloves or something, but they were like, okay, this is enough to secure a warrant to search his home.
Unless the bag had some identification.
Right. Or maybe just because it was close to his house. It's
or
like,
DNA
okay, hold on. Yep. They end up getting a search warrant. Now, it is reported that in their initial look-see through the house, they really didn't find much. Like, there was nothing that really seemed out of the ordinary.
Right.
However, a week goes by. They come back to like do some more searching or whatever. And there's a detective and they're standing in the garage, these detectives, and they're talking. Some are searching the house, some are talking. And this one detective is standing there and he's like, and he notices this like Tupperware, like Rubbermaid container that's in the garage. And he's like, that was not there the last time that we were here. Like, that's new. And
good
so,
on you, detective.
Yeah. And actually the main detective, so this part, when I was reading the story on it, the main detective was the one that was telling the story. And he's like, probably one of the smartest detectives that we've ever worked with. Very keen on details.
Good.
Because if it wasn't for that
detective.
Right. And if it wasn't for that detective, they would have
pulled.
Right. So they're like, oh, really? You don't think that was there? And the detective was like, nope, like we did not search a bin that looked like that. And so they go over to the bin, they open up the bin, and they find Tara's dismembered torso inside of this bin.
God damn, that's a big ass bin.
So, but it's just a torso. Just like this part of her body.
Okay, do you see my torso? That's a big ass bin.
No, that's just like a normal rubber, like a normal, like what we put our Christmas decorations in.
Oh, bro, I was thinking of like a fucking like Susie Homemaker Tupperware.
Oh, no.
I'm like, that's a fucking big ass.
You're like, where are you storing that?
Listen, the lasagna that I make is fucking not as big as a torso.
Eight times.
Yeah. That's why I was like, what the fuck?
No, like a.
Like I was thinking like the Tupperware brand, like the Rubbermaid, because isn't there Rubbermaid?
Yeah.
For Tupperware. That's what I was thinking. That's why I was like, damn, that's a big
like the things that you store the decorations.
Okay, that makes a lot more sense. Because I was like, damn, that's a really
like,
big.
Where do you find a Tupperware that big?
Like the fucking clear with like the red lid.
Right.
I was like,
and where do you store that? If you have something that big, where the hell are you storing? Anyway, so yes.
Evidently in your garage.
So they end up finding her torso. By the time this is discovered, Stephen has disappeared.
Of course.
And they immediately start trying to like figure out where he could have gone. They're trying to.
Where are the kids and all this? With him? Gone?
Dead? So the kids, I think when all of this stuff happened, the children were supposedly sleeping, but when more of this thing, I think the children ended up being sent to her sisters, and her sister was like helping take care of them during this process. And so they keep, first of all, the fact that they searched his house and then like let him leave, it always cracks me up because it's like, if you really think this guy did it, don't let him go anywhere. Like make him stand there while you search his house, right? Nope, he's gone.
Also, I feel like they're supposed to
I mean,
I've never had my house searched.
What I almost wonder is if he knew they were going to come search his house, so he left before they could get there.
Right.
Because I think they can search whether you're there or not. I think they can literally bust in your door and search because it's a search warrant. I don't think you have to.
But I think if you're there,
but if you're there, I think you have to. Oh yeah, if you ask for it,
you have to have probable cause.
They start looking around.
I should go into this fucking field. I don't know what I'm doing in Vet Med. Goddamn.
So they start immediately trying to figure out like where could he have gone, who could he have contacted. Like obviously, it's been only like a couple. I think it's only been like that day is when he disappeared. So like, we got to figure something out. So they start trying to track his cell phone, which they have nothing. There's no pinging or anything on his cell phone. And then 2 days later, his phone actually makes a call to his sister and it pings and they're able to track his phone and they find him 225 miles away in northern Michigan Wilderness State Park.
Jesus.
Now, when they find him, he had taken liquor and pills from his sister's home, ingested those, and he went to the park with the intention of committing suicide. That's what he was going there for. When they found him, he was hiding underneath like a tree in the park. Okay. And it was like frigid ass cold temperatures, like in the single digits.
Oh yeah, I mean,
right? Because it's Michigan.
I would
in
say
March.
living in South Dakota, our weather was very similar to Michigan.
He was wearing no outdoor clothing to protect his body. He was literally wearing like a shirt and pants. That's it. So they know now, like their thought was, okay, so he literally drank a bunch of liquor, took a bunch of pills, drove himself to the park and was going to die under this tree, basically freeze to death, right? But they found him. So they get him, they airlift him. This is how bad he was. They airlift him to Northern Michigan Hospital, and he is in the hospital being treated for hypothermia because he's basically fucking frozen to death, right? He's not frozen to death because he's alive, but he was gonna freeze to death.
His organs were shutting down.
He was definitely in a hot place, cold, hot place. Never mind, just whatever. He was cold. Okay. So on March 5th, 2007, the police end up holding a press conference where they actually tell the public that Stephen had confessed to murdering Tara. Basically, Stephen had told the police that Tara and him had gotten into a really bad argument. She had just returned from a trip to Puerto Rico, and she was telling him that she had to go to another meeting the following day, and he was mad, and they started yelling and arguing, and then he starts accusing her of spending too much time with her coworkers, basically accusing her of cheating, which is real fucking smart coming from the dude who's actually cheating, but that's always seems to be the way it is. This is also the time when he actually admits to the police that he was having an affair with the nanny. His confession lasted 2 hours while he was in the hospital because they were talking to him. Because once he was like stabilized in the hospital, the police were right there and they were like, "We need to talk to you." Like, we searched your home.
Well, and he knows. Like at that point, it's like there's no fucking going.
You might as well tell the truth and hope for the best.
Hope that if you tell the truth, you
get
something out of it.
So he does. He spends 2 hours in the hospital talking to the cops, telling him everything. He says that in the middle of their argument, Tara started to walk away from him. And he grabbed her wrist and she slapped him. And he said, when she slapped me, I hit her back and knocked her on the ground. And then I started choking her with a piece of clothing. And he said there was one point where she actually grabbed his hand, but he said it was too late. I was too enraged and I couldn't stop myself. So he literally snapped. That's literally, he fucking snapped. Not that that's an excuse. That's a real fucking thing though. People really do just snap sometimes. So then he says,
which are the scarier ones?
Yeah. So then he says he knew that he was going to go to prison and he panicked. And so he killed her because he said, if I don't kill her, I'm going to go to prison. I have to kill her. And then once she's dead, he's like, I don't even fucking know what to do now because now I have a dead body. My wife is dead. I'm going to go to prison. I have 2 children. I can't do this. So he drags her body into the garage. A little bit of graphicness right now. So plug your ears for a second if you don't want to hear it. He used a belt and tied it around her neck and dragged her like down to the garage, and the belt broke while he was doing it and it smashed her head onto the ground. And he said it literally sounded like a watermelon being thrown on the ground. That's how hard he dropped her because he was dragging. I mean, you figure he was probably standing up pulling her. So he puts her body in the back of his SUV. And then 2 days later, he brings the body to the tool and die shop where his dad owns, and he dismembers her body there. And he said that he had to drink whiskey and he threw up because of how distressed he was. To which I say, boo fucking who, bro? Yeah. Boo fucking who? He said the main reason that he did it was because he knew that he would go to jail if anybody found her body. Right, because that's how we do these things. So then he took her body parts and disposed of them near Stony Creek Metro Park. And he then told them that when he found out the police were going to be searching that park area, because that's one of the parks they were going to search, he went back there, got her torso, because when you're dismembering a body, if the torso, it's the whole thing, that's a lot easier to find than like a hand or an arm or leg. So he said, I went back and got her torso, put it in the bin and brought it back home with the thought that you guys wouldn't find her torso there. Not thinking that they were going to come find the torso in his goddamn garage. So then on March 6th, 2007, Stephen is formally charged with 1 count of homicide, murder in the first degree that is premeditated, and 1 count of disinterment or mutilation of the body. The cops also released a transcript of Stephen's confession on April 13th, 2007. So if you really wanted to, you could Google up exactly what he said over those 2 hours, and you can literally read the whole transcript. of how he answered every question the cops gave him. Then on December 21st, 2007, Stephen is found guilty on a second degree murder charge. I don't understand. I don't get our fucking law. I don't understand our system. I do not understand how somebody is like, okay, premeditated. I could see you maybe not having it, but when you dismember a body, like how the fuck you get second degree murder? I'm not even understanding.
I'd say what's wrong with our system, but it's not just what's wrong with our system. It's per state too.
Absolutely.
Right? Because it's like, you think about the exact same, I'm not saying Washington would have been better, but I'm just saying like you think about the exact same crime in Washington. Yeah, you could have a harsher sentence. You could have a lesser sentence. Who the fuck knows? So it's not, that's the other thing that kind of pisses me off is it's never the exact same sentence for the exact same crime. You could do the exact same crime, same age, same day, fucking, you could be literally replica, put it in 2 different states and one could get harsher sentence than the other,
yeah,
which is bullshit.
Well, and you think about it, some of them have
it should all be blanket.
Some of them have death penalties, some of them don't. So, you know, like in the state of Washington, we don't have the death penalty right now.
Didn't they just get rid of it?
They did, but prior to it,
boo.
My knowledge was that you could only be charged, or not charged. You could only be, the death sentence was only an option for people who were either first degree premeditated or some weird shit where it was like, or if you killed somebody and stole from them. Then you could have, then that was a cause for the death penalty. Cause like,
I think that's a little much,
right? It's just weird.
I mean, like you still killed somebody, but like,
right.
Okay,
I know
you stole my Apple Watch.
I don't even, yeah, exactly. I don't even understand.
I don't know. I definitely think our justice system is fucked for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also, like I said, it's also per state.
Yeah,
and
it is.
Their laws and views too on certain things.
So they say, or not they say. So on February 21st, 2008, he is sentenced to a minimum of 50 years in prison. So let's say he's 37. Let's say he's 37. He gets found guilty in 2008. So he's actually 38. He gets 50 years. He'll be 88 years old at the minimum when he gets out of prison.
Yeah.
So
80s,
he's
90s.
going to probably die in prison, honestly.
That or get out and have not a hell of a lot of time left.
Right. Well, he does actually try to appeal multiple times. He tries to appeal because of, he's saying that his trial was unfair due to the national coverage, that's a fair argument, but it doesn't mean that you get it off. It's just, that is fair. He also said that the cops improperly obtained the confession due to the fact that when they were talking to him, he was in the process of being treated for exposure to the elements. And he's like, I wasn't in my right frame of mind. They should have never interviewed me.
Well, the doctors would have been able to determine.
Well, that's what I was going to say, which again, that's a valid concern.
However,
but the doctors probably were like, okay.
The doctors, psychiatrists, like they would have said,
go ahead and talk to him.
Either A, don't talk to him because he's not in the right state of mind. Or B, if he would have started talking, they would have been like, well, his mind could be altered. And also for the whole news coverage thing, bro, you did that to yourself because you're the one that started going to the news. So I don't want to fucking hear it.
So he got 50 years minimum to 80 years, by the way. So if he doesn't get out in 50, it's going to be 50, whatever, every however many years. However, he is eligible for parole in 40 years. So technically he could be paroled in 40 years.
47.
So he'd be, 48? He's 38. So he could be
2048.
Oh,
because if he got sentenced in 2008,
2048 is when he would be parole. So he can't. So
he's
get
got
out
another 23 years.
He can't get out at all until at least the 40-year mark. And for that one, he has to prove that he's a changed person, that he remorses his crime, that he's not a danger.
There's a bunch of shit to it. It's not just a simple, you get out.
I don't personally think that he'll be paroled, but then he would potentially get out in 50 years.
Well, I don't mean this is like a dick move. And granted, I'm not speaking for the kids because I don't know where they're at with their dad and things like that.
You will in a moment.
But my thing is like, what the fuck do you have left?
Right. What do you have left? You have nothing left.
You're going to come out to nothing?
Nothing. And actually, he will come out to nothing. And so all of his appeals, they have all been denied. They are like, nope, your shit was fair. I even read in 2000, I think it was 2011, I read like a literal case of one of his appeals. So it's like you can actually read what he's claiming, and then you find at the end the judges are like, yeah, we understand what you're claiming, but this all falls within the lines of legality. So you're up Schitt's Creek. Now, Stephen is currently being housed at Bellamy Creek Correction Facility. So that's Stephen
Grant.
Now, normally we don't do this.
Uh-oh.
Normally I just end it with like, okay, that's the story. However, I wanted to touch on this because if this is ever a possibility, I want to share it. That's really how it is. We're going to talk about Tara's children, and I'm not calling them Stephen's children for a reason. Okay. So we are going to talk about Tara's children. Now, currently they are both adults, and they have turned into some of the most fabulous individuals. They were actually taken in by Tara's sister, and they were raised, and they were not shielded from what happened to their mom. They both are currently attending college.
Wow.
Both of them actually are doing really good. They didn't say what the son. I'm not putting their names out there because
It's their own privacy.
Well, it's their privacy, but there is a whole news article about them. But
you
I
can do
don't.
your own research
right,
on
you
that.
can look them up, and that the point of
That's
this
not
was
our job to.
it's not to
blast
even
them.
blast the children, other than the fact that I don't even know what
Proud.
not proud because I don't know them, but like I
You
am
can still be proud
so
of somebody if you don't know them.
I am touched by these kids, I guess is the thing. I'm touched by them because not only did they live through their mother dying, and again, yes, one of the children was like 3 or 4 when it happened, but the 7-year-old, which was the daughter, she was 7.
Right.
She knows. I was like hesitant on saying this, but I'm going to say it. There was 2 articles I read that actually said that Tara's sister had gone to the prosecutors while they were, doing the thing with Stephen. And apparently the children had told her they saw their dad strangle their mom. So that was also used in some of his sentencing purposes because the kids had told her that they had seen this happen.
Well, and you're not just going to make some shit up like that. I mean,
but no, I think
to have
that he thought they were sleeping. Really, you think about it. You're fighting. Yeah. Your kids are probably going to wake up. Okay?
Dude, how many times were you and dad awake?
Yeah.
And not that you were,
not
that dad was strangling you, but like, my point is how many times were you guys awake and then Trade and I were awake and you guys had no fucking idea, or you knew, but it was like hours after we had been awake already.
Exactly. So that's why I'm saying like, I totally believe it. But anyways, yes. So they turned out to be fabulous. They both are in school. The daughter, she's actually in school to become a psychologist.
Okay.
Because, and this is what I'm talking about, man, she just touches my heart. They were interviewing her and she said the reason she wants to be in psychology is because had it not been for her psychology and the therapist that she saw as a child, then she would not be the person she is today.
That therapist should be fucking touched.
She wants to be a child psychologist to help kids just like her. Wow. Which is
because she can have that personal connection too.
I was just going to say, which makes the best psychologists is the people who have some experience in that, right? Mm-hmm. Now, the son, they didn't say what he was in school for, but he said that his whole entire goal is to help domestic violence victims.
So they're basically taking their situation and trying to make
it. So much so that they both still to this day participate every single year in this thing that is called Tara's Run and Walk. Aww. And this walk helps to raise awareness and helps domestic violence victims. They offer immediate assistance for survivors. They also are building hope to prevent future domestic violence situations. Now,
that gives me chills.
Right? And they go to this every year. They're speakers because it's for their mom, right? Mm-hmm. Now, I went ahead. So if you're listening to this on any of the platforms, you will find our show notes. So inside the show notes, the very first thing that you're going to see is a link, and it's going to say for more information about that link is a link that is straight to Tara's 5K run and walk that they partnered together with a company called Turning Point. And if you click on the link, it'll take you there for all the information that there is. You can sponsor if you want to. I think you can donate money. And it all goes towards helping domestic violence situations, individuals, families, children. And so I don't normally do these things, but I always promised myself that if I ever got a good update about victims that we could come out and as a community and help support, I would share it. And this one it made me emotional when I was reading it because it's like, you 2 children are so much better of a person than I could ever be because I don't know if I would have the guts to go on with my life the way that you have and obviously honor your mom, but in a way that is going to help so many other people and has already helped so many people. And then also good on you, Tara's sister, for being that person to help mold and shape these kids, knowing the trauma they went through while also having to deal with the loss of your sister.
You know what? I could be totally bullshitting, but I almost wonder if I've actually met them. And I say that because we had somebody come to our school when I was in college. Somebody come to our school, and I swear to God, it was Tara was part of the name, and it was about domestic violence.
Could be.
And it was talking about like what they do and how they fundraise and how they have housing and all this stuff. And they were giving it to us for information to give to other people, but as well as for us and to see if we wanted to volunteer for it. And now that you're talking about it, like I said, I could be totally wrong. It could be something completely different, but it just sounds really fucking familiar.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't a shit ton of people. Like it was just a small group. So I don't know. I mean, I could be totally wrong, but I feel like I've heard of it before now that you're talking about it.
It most definitely, it was definitely one of those things that I took a step back and I was like, God dang. Like
being that South Dakota is so close to Michigan, it could just be something that I also have
heard
about as well.
But it could be because when you were in college, they were doing the Tara. I think Tara's Walk has been around for a hot minute. They've been doing it for a while.
That would have been like 2019.
Yeah, 2019 or 2020.
Anywhere from 2018 to 2020.
So there is an article that completely talks about the kids. And it actually interviews them both. But like I said, I'm not going to put their names out there because if you want to know who they are, don't go do your own research. That's fine. But they are just fabulous individuals. And it's always really touching to see somebody or people taking a tragedy and making something
a trauma like that.
Yes. And then being able to turn it around to help others because you don't want somebody to suffer the same way that you have or that your, mom or whatever has. Like, anyways, so I just wanted to share that. So again, if you have the want, the need, or the desire, click on that link. It's the very first link in show notes. That will take you to the page that explains to you what Tara's Walk is. And if you live in the Midwest area and you live close to the Michigan area, you can also attend the walk. You could literally go there and do the walk as well and meet actually these two fabulous young individuals. So anyways, that is the story of Stephen Grant with a not really happy ending, but a really inspiring ending. And that is where we be at. So if you like these things and you like to hear us, and thank goodness Sierra's back because Jay with his frogman voice, as he says,
voice was not ideal.
Not it. Then just click the follow on all the things. And I guess this is just going to be the part where I say, catch you on the flip side, bitches.
Bye, bitches.